Well, first of all, we're not professionals or something. We were asked to do this, and we just want to share with you from just the experience that we have by the grace of God to have been living married life for 14 years, which is really a vocation. That's why there's not any credit for us in anything. It's just what God has called us to do. And that's the whole point. Vocation is such a word that's so familiar to us, and that's almost like part of Catholic vocabulary. But sometimes we forget a little what it really is. It is a call. We all have the call to holiness. We all have a specific call, but it's not in a way that God is calling us like we do here, like there's chairs to be moved and we go, oh, can you help me with this? It's not like God is asking us to help him with a particular thing he has in mind, but it's something that he created for us. Your vocation has been thought of by the creator of the universe when he was thinking of creating the planets and creating the skies and creating the forests and creating everything. He also planned you. It's not a chore that's been put on you or that he's now thinking, what can I give her? Oh, I'll give her that vocation. You were made for that vocation. So if you think of that, I've been designed in the plan of God, in the great puzzle that he has made for history, for mankind, for the whole universe. He created me to be a piece of that, and without me, that piece would not be filled. Like when you have those giant jigsaws of 1,000 pieces, even if there's one piece that is missing, you see it. There's a piece missing. And our vocation is just to fill in that piece that God has created me for, with all my talents, all my gifts, also all my weaknesses and my whole personality, to find that, to know what it is that I have been created and designed for. That is my vocation. And you can't find that all out at this one moment, but you can find out at a certain moment, and that's your age for most of you, to find out what is the path that I have to follow. And that's for you.
So the vocation, especially a vocation to discern your future state of life, I want to make it also clear from the beginning, like there's no vocation bigger than another one, and there's no competition, because every vocation has been made by God for you, and every vocation in essence has the same goal. It's to reach heaven. And so there's no competition. It's like Carlijn already said, it's just figuring out what's good for you. I think of those children's toys where you have like the triangle and the circle and the square. I mean, you can try and push the triangle through the circle. It's not going to work, or it's going to work, but you're going to do damage. So for you, just to find out what your shape is, what your future state of life will be like. And don't be afraid. That's why we put this quote on there at the beginning. Don't be afraid, because for some people it might be like a temptation to think, oh, but if it's so important to find out my vocation, like, what if I don't find it? What if I really try and I just miss it somehow? Don't be afraid at all. God is always looking out for you, and he wants you to find your vocation even more than you do. Like, think of a child that's lost in a supermarket, and it's a child, so he's really afraid, oh, maybe mommy and daddy are gonna leave. Like, the parents are not gonna leave. We all know that. They're not gonna leave that supermarket without their child. They're gonna find him. Just like us, we arrived here with 5 children. Chances are small that we're gonna leave with 3 or 4. I mean, Carlijn will know this. So, and also don't be afraid that it's not coming at your time. Like, you would like to know your entire vocation, like at one point, like, okay, this is the plan for the rest of my life. It's not going to work like that. Same for us. We also would have liked to know maybe earlier, but it's not on our timetable. And you're not going to know it all at once. Like, once we figured out, okay, it's marriage for us, then still, would we have children? Would we have one child, more? Would we not be able to have children? That was all still a possibility. So don't worry, it'll come step by step. Now, there are different vocations in life. They're all equal in value. The 2 most well-known, probably religious life, priesthood, and then marriage. The third one, like living a single life for the kingdom of God, we're not going to discuss that one right now. But when people say vocation, you probably all picture this. If somebody would say, oh, he figured out his vocation, then you probably all think, oh, he's going to be a priest or a monk. Yeah? But again, there's really no difference. Yeah? It's not like marriage is like the easy option or like the default option. Like, oh, you didn't get a vocation for priesthood. Oh, so it's just the normal one for you. Like they're both equally challenging, equally fulfilling, precisely because, just to return to that, the goal is exactly the same for each and every one of us. It's to reach heaven.
Well, when we were asked to do this workshop, we were also asked to share a little with you about our path to find our vocation. And that also was not like we knew it right from the start. We were both not raised as Catholics. I wasn't even a Catholic until I was 21. And I got to know the faith and IV through a voluntary work in Italy for no other reason than learning Italian. Not anything faith related. I was not on the lookout for that. But I got to know the faith. That was something that, like the ones of you that have experienced that also, something just catches you and you dive into it deeper and deeper. But then still, I was very new and very looking out for things, but I also didn't know, and I didn't have that environment around me to help me understand things. So things were just going on, like baptized, and then knowing more about faith and starting to visit, because I returned in summers to Italy, and then there was a foundation mission in the south of Holland. The sisters started there. So in weekends, I could go there sometimes, or vacations. I always felt very happy when I was there. I felt very happy when I was in Italy. I began to know very interesting and nice young men in university. We became friends. We were friends. No, we were just friends for a long time. It was very important. Just stay friends for a very long time and you get to know each other very well. We were both more than interested in each other as friends, but nothing was ever happening. And we lived like okay, and also compared to the outside world, in a kind of Catholic way, quite okay, we thought for ourselves too. But something was missing, definitely. I didn't find peace at all. By moments, by working and doing things and just having quite normal life, not very extravaganza things, but just normal. But I couldn't find peace, and then we started dating, and then you also go on to live in an apartment, both different apartments, of course, then working, but something was still missing. And then next step was, well, we're dating, so probably then we should get married because we're Catholics. We don't want to just continue dating. So yeah, that is a nice thing. But still, there was no peace. There was just no peace. I didn't know why. I didn't understand. I started thinking, if I'm so happy when I'm in a convent or in Italy, does that maybe mean that I have to be a sister because I'm happy there? But then I have this young man that I also want to marry, I think, but I don't know what I think anymore. So yeah, then there was a point in which I called my godmother. She was a sister, one of the superiors at that time. And she said, you just have to find out yourself. I can't say to you what your vocation is, but I can say to you, if you don't find it out right now, and you don't figure it out for real, you will not have peace for the rest of your life. Even if you get married now, you get married, but there will be hard times, and in the hard times you will start doubting again. So you have to do something. And then we had a lot of talks, a lot of tears. And well, we decided we just give all up for 1 year, and we just like go our different ways, but in a like very, very Catholic I say that, surrounded environment, give up our jobs, give up our apartments, and just go for volunteering. I decided first because you said, like, I can stay here and find it out here. Well, you can say that.
Yeah, that was my first idea. Like, okay, it's good that you go and do that and go and find out. And at first I thought then, and I'll just like I'll stay here, man the home front, and I'll continue my job and I'll try and be as good a Catholic as I can be during the year that Carlijn would go to Italy. But then, fortunately, eventually I decided against that and asked the sisters, her godmother, to find something for me as well to do, but somewhere English speaking, because my Italian is horrible. And then she found a place for me. And that was the best decision. Like, if I would have stayed in Belgium, just going on with our regular lives there, but without Carlijn, then for sure, after a whole year of Italy, Carlijn would have been like at this level, and I would still be here. And we would not be equals. We would, I'm sure of that, we would not
of, like,
be married.
Catholic life, because I could teach there in the formation house of the sisters. So I could teach, I could teach there a course, language course. But I would not live in the community of the sisters, of course, but I could do everything, like 1 hour adoration per day, all the prayers, all the retreats that there were, I could participate in the way that is possible in a very Catholic environment. But, and that's for you too, if you think of, like, if you're in a relationship or you both want to discern or decide something like that, do it. Like, you don't have to do it together, because we also decided if we do that, we will not have contact, because then you keep attached, no? You keep saying things to each other, you're not really free. But if you choose to do that, try to be in, like, the same environment so that you can grow together, even if it's in places apart. God will, if he wants to, he will put you together again. But don't split up in a way that you're staying home and doing your things, and you will, because then you're not doing the same thing, if you understand what I mean. Well, the good thing is, he said, he didn't say it himself, he said, I want you to go there because I deeply love you. I want you to be happy. And if that means that I have to give you up, I will give you up, because I want you to be happy more than I want to be happy with you myself. That's a core part of it. Like, the sacrifice and the giving up yourself in marriage, in relationships, is like the thing that is, like, can be missing. So, to get things shorter, we were both going to our places. That now is said in one phrase. It was super hard. It took a lot of time, a lot of discussions with family and other people around and everything. But we did it. And also in that, you see, God gives you the grace of the moment. Could not have thought of it before, that it would go like it went, and could have not thought of it to go so smoothly in a way, because you just feel the strength that you can do whatever God is asking you to do. We went and we didn't have contact. We both lived for a few months, well, half a year, in our surroundings. Stefaan was teaching actually also in a mission of the IVE in a little homeschool co-op. So he was also, there was perpetual adoration there, even better than one hour a day. And then halfway, we both did the spiritual exercises. We didn't have internet connection in the convent, because the convent was very medieval. So we didn't know of each other what the outcome was. So that was also a funny thing. First, spiritual exercises, maybe some of you are familiar with that. It's the thing to do if you want to discern your state of life or what you have to do in life. You can't explain even what it is, but if you're there, you just hear God talk, really. And you hear what he says to you and what he is asking you to do. And asking, like we said before, like, this is what I want for you, and just, you know it. You know it. There's priests there counseling you. Anything, you can't, like, be mistaken if you come out. So we went out both, and we both saw that we have to marry. I actually thought, if I'm going to do spiritual exercises, for sure I will have to enter the convent, because the only fact that I'm thinking of it must be a sign that I have to, but I didn't feel very happy about it. That also was a sign. So also for that, don't be afraid. You can know it yourself sometimes. You think it will be this, but God knows, and God will put you on the right way. So we both saw that we had to marry. Then we decided to finish our year because we promised God, so we did that. I flew to California to get a proposal because we had to have a proposal, of course, an official one, down the Statue of Mary. It was very beautiful. And then we finished our year and we got home, and 1 month later we married. Thing is, we might have gotten married also if we didn't have done that year, if you know, understand. I mean, we were on the path of getting married, but it would not have been the same because we would have gotten married for our own reasons, just because it was the like logical next step, or we thought, yeah, we can marry. And you can think like, yeah, what does it matter? Because it's both getting married. But now it was totally different, because now we married because we knew it was the will of God for us. That thing that I said in the beginning, like that He had designed us for since the beginning of creation. And that gives such a peace, really. Never, ever any doubt anymore. Before, total, like I said, total restlessness, not finding peace at all. Never again. Since that year, since the spiritual exercises, and things get tough, there are difficulties coming, just the peace is not lost anymore. So don't be afraid. If you want to discern your vocation, go for it, do it, and afterwards all is good, really. And whatever happens, you will always have the peace. It doesn't matter. God wants me to go this path. It all will be well in the end. And that's from our experience. It's really true. It's really true. Don't be afraid.
Yeah, exactly. No, don't be afraid. It's the main thing. Two more things I wanted to add. Like now, also don't be afraid and think, oh, I have to go and do something spectacular. I have to quit my job or quit my studies and go abroad for a year. That's just what happened, of what was the right way for us. But it can happen in any number of ways. Like God works in so many different ways. So don't be afraid. It'll have to be something spectacular, or else it's not valid or true. But at the same time, don't be afraid to do something spectacular. Like, I'm an only child of two parents who are very, very cautious. So very cautious. Like, they both had one job for their whole life in the same building with the same colleagues, same road to work. They were very cautious people. And when I first told them that, hey, I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna go to another continent, they were not happy at all. And it all worked out perfectly. Like, sometimes we scare ourselves into not doing things. Like, we worry a lot about, oh, but what about my job? What about my studies? What will my family say? What will others say? Am I gonna like it? Is it gonna be useful at all? We can paralyze ourselves sometimes with our doubts and fears, and then it can be good to just go for it. And things will turn out fine if you think about it well. And for us, of course, we had the blessing that the congregation was helping us, guiding us. So if you have something like that to help you with doing something spectacular, that of course helps. And especially the main thing, don't be afraid. I mean, finding out your vocation is probably the most important thing in your life. So go ahead and do it. Like Carlijn said, we would have probably married anyway. It's what people in Belgium do, and the Netherlands and so many other countries. Like, you date for a while, and after a while, you probably get married. But there, like Carlijn said, there would have been doubts. Like, life always throws challenges at you and problems, and without having discerned and without being absolutely sure this is our vocation, at some point we would have started doubting, like even a little bit. And a little bit of doubts can have so big consequences. Whereas now it really doesn't matter. No matter what challenges, no matter what problems, and we've had challenges, it doesn't matter. Like, you know, no cross will ever be too heavy. So when you live your vocation, that's like a certitude that you have. No cross will be too heavy, so there's no worry, there's no fear. right? You know you're doing the right thing.
To move on to marriage.
Have to move on to marriage.
Already halfway.
Like skip 4 pages or something. I prepared this.
I know, that's why I said.
Okay, so now the questions come. What even is marriage supposed to be? Because these days we see so many different examples. We see people getting married and divorcing like within a couple of years. I have a colleague, they married last August, they're already divorced. Like they built a house for themselves. Building the house took longer than their marriage lasted. There's people in a relationship that are very much on purpose not getting married and like being proud, oh, we're super modern. It's like, yeah, no, we're not getting married. We don't need that. We're just, we want to stay together. That's all we need. You see people getting married still, but then living practically as two singles, sharing a house because they're both have their own group of friends that they still go out with. They go on separate vacations and everything. We even have people getting married for like practical reasons. Like I have a friend who married somebody of another nationality purely for the visa, because it would be easier to fix that and both stay in the same country. Unsurprisingly, they're are already divorced. And especially the last thing, like if you marry and the week before your marriage and the week after your marriage looks exactly the same, something's wrong. I mean, when you start living your vocation, something big should change in your life.
That's the thing.
So then, with all these different types of marriage, how does God intend marriage to be? Because we are sure that He meant it to be something very important. Like the church hammers on it all the time. Remember how Anglicanism started? It's because the King of England wanted a divorce, and the Pope said no, because this is our thing. You do not get a divorce. So that's how important it is. Like they oppose even the King of England, and they accept Anglicanism to just, no, he'll start your own religion. Fine, we're not budging on what we believe marriage is supposed to be.
Well, yeah, well, it's not that they don't mind that Anglicism is coming.
Well, okay, maybe.
I understand what you mean.
Yeah. But so it's especially a recent problem, because like 200 years ago, marriage was not in question, well, except for the King of England. But it was obvious. Like, you would get to know each other, and eventually you would marry. Now it's completely different. There's a very famous, at least a very good theologian and philosopher of the last century, Dietrich von Hildebrand. And he has written a lot of books about marriage, and he gives this quote from a 19th century poet who says, love is heaven, marriage is hell. And he says that in that time, the poet wrote it to like get a shocking reaction. Oh, look at me, look at how edgy I am. I can write this, and people were like scandalized by it. And Dietrich von Hildebrand correctly, I think, states that today that's like the popular opinion. Like marriage, oh, that's what you do to kill your love.
That's what we heard people say.
No,
we're not getting married. That would kill our love, would kill our romance. We're not getting married at all.
Exactly, yeah. And it is a popular opinion. Like I teach in high school, so 12 to 18-year-olds, and most of them don't even think about marriage. It's like, no, maybe date somebody. Sure, long term, I want to get into a relationship, and if it lasts a long time, fine. But if it's not, then also fine. You'll find somebody else. Marriage, they don't think about it at all.
Well, the thing is, that's also the influence of popular culture, and you all know that, well, half of life, that's maybe exaggerated, but half of the life of young people is with also popular media and videos and movies and everything, and series. And marriage is not really present there if you think of it. If there's a wedding, then it's the wedding for the nice dress and the flowers and the romance and everything. But it's not something that is like attached to love. You have the dating, you have the falling in love, you have the, like in the movies, finally getting the boy or girl. But it's not that there's marriage after. There used to be in the Disney princesses. If you think of it, even the Disney princesses don't marry anymore. The modern Disney girls are super independent, but they don't marry at the end. So even there it disappeared. There is no connection anymore of love and marriage, like as a natural, normal thing. And that's what it actually is. Real love just flows on into marriage, because real love is, eternal, wants eternity. You want to be with your beloved all the time. And real love wants to give itself. You want to do things for your beloved. You want to just, do nice things all the time also. What is that? That's marriage. It's your real love extended for eternity and giving yourself completely to the other. That's not something that imprisons you. It's your love. It's the you. You shouldn't see it as a he or she, or I hope by the time you're thinking of marrying someone, it's because you really love that person, not just because it's like, yeah, well, good candidate, Catholic, all the checks, good. You love that person. You love that person. You want to be with that person forever. Then the natural thing is to just formalize that and say, we're together forever because I know that my feelings will go up and down. I will not like say, today I like you and tomorrow, what is this? Why did I marry you? It's not going that way. But our feelings just swing all the time. Our moods swing all the time. Think of coming here, probably. Well, I have had like 86 feelings about coming here before we finally got here. It's like that, it works like that. And when difficulties come, your highly in love and loving feelings might go a little less because you're tired, you're stressed, you're losing your job, you're having a child that is sick in the hospital, you don't see each other that much. Things just change. But you say, I do with my whole freedom promise that I will not give in to my own feelings. I decide and I promise that I want to love you forever. And I will fight my feelings and I will fight my mood swings and I fight all the difficulties because I want to save our love forever. And I have the glorious confidence that with the grace of God, I will do that and we will stay together. Well, that's not imprisoning. That's the most beautiful thing you can do. Good.
You want me to skip more pages?
No, just go ahead.
So that's the thing that doesn't happen when you're in a long-lasting relationship, but somehow you don't want to marry each other. When you say, no, we don't need that, or I don't need that, I don't want that, basically you're saying, well, I do not want to commit myself completely. And like Carlijn already said, like a love that does not give itself completely, that's not a real love. But people often are afraid and say, yeah, but what if it all goes wrong? What if we stop loving each other? Then I'm stuck in marriage. It's easier to just not be married because then it's easier to separate. But you forget a couple of things. First of all, like marriage is a sacrament. So in it, you both receive the sacramental graces to help you out. And these are real. Like just like baptism, confirmation, every Eucharist, it's a sacrament. They help you out. So from the very first moments of your marriage, you're already going to get supernatural support. And secondly, a marriage in which both the man and his bride, like if you've prepared well, if you both know this is our vocation, and you really know that, to quote this, that they both promise to be true in good times and in bad, in sickness and in health, that it is to love and honor you all the days of my life. I mean, in such a marriage, it doesn't go wrong. If you really, really believe that yourself and you know that the other one is intending exactly the same thing, it doesn't go wrong.
It's like a framework. You have the safe framework in which you both promised, with all my freedom, I give myself to you. I will not go outside this framework. There's no option of leaving.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Just figure things out yourself.
Yeah, because exactly the thing that people say, oh, but it takes away your freedom because then you're married, you're stuck. Well, the fact that divorce, getting out of the relationship, the fact that it is not an option, that is what sets you free. Because you know exactly, it doesn't matter what happens, doesn't matter what life throws at us, I never have to be afraid that the other one is thinking of getting out. And I'll never start doubting, oh, maybe I should get out.
And even like more active, not even, he doesn't want to get out, but he will do everything if things will start going, I don't know how you say that in English.
Like wrong?
Yeah, fridging, thank you, that's the thing, wringen in Dutch. Then, like the other also will do all what she can, to just find a solution immediately. The solution maybe not immediately, but like a way to it, because you don't let things just go on. Like, oh yeah, well, what's going wrong already for a long time? Yeah, well, why didn't you do anything about it? That's what you do, because you love each other still. It's not now your man or your wife. It's still you, my bride, my groom, from the beginning. I look at him, I still see that man 14 years ago. That's just how it works with love. So it's still the same person. You just, the framework. I'll let you go.
You summarized perfectly
Yeah,
what I
I
was going
know,
to
of
say.
course, yeah.
No, yeah, that is exactly the thing. Like what I just said, knowing that divorce or getting out is not an option, that is what sets you free. Like, you know, you have confidence, you never need to be afraid, you never need to think, oh, maybe the other one is thinking of getting out, oh, maybe I should get out, oh, maybe this was all a mistake, maybe this, maybe. Never any fear. And we've seen many examples of, unfortunately, marriages around us that, or relationships that ended.
Not Catholics, just like the people from university, for example.
Yeah, that we
Catholics
studied
is all
with.
okay.
Like one couple was married for 12 years, they had a daughter together, and then one day, out of nowhere, to the husband, his wife just says, you know what, I think I made a mistake in marrying you. I fell in love with a colleague, I'm moving in with him tomorrow. And that's not a mistake that was made that day or in the weeks before. That's many small mistakes that have been made over a long time because they were not fully committed. Like she, and so not to throw a stone at the woman in this case,
Yeah.
could be the man, just the same.
Like in
But
general.
just for example, in a relationship, allowing yourself to fall in love with somebody else, that shouldn't happen. Like if you're fully committed to the other one, then you just put a stop to it very early on. It doesn't happen.
That's just to encourage you also. You still have your free will, and you have your will that you can just, also this I don't know in English, but just make a little tighter. If somebody, imagine things would go a little less because you're very stressed, like I said, you're about to lose your job, the husband is about to lose his job, or just really a sickness or something in the family, and you're just not really okay, and things are going a little bit less. If then somebody at your work, like in this case, is starting to like put attention, say that, put attention in you? No. Pay attention to you, or give you attention. So that give you attention, just don't answer to that. You don't go out, and it's not like you can do this in a way, but imagine you don't go out with a, for me, for example, if I would work with a female, with a male, of course, with a male, or for him with a female colleague, you just don't go out for a coffee like very easily. If you see that that person is putting attention in you that is maybe a little too much, you just don't do it. And that's not that you are very like, oh, you can do anything. No, that person is wrong. He knows that you're married. You can just decide and don't do this. If that person is paying attention to you, you just say, oh, I don't spend my lunch break at that table, choose another table. It's very easy to stop those things, like very firmly and very, like, I say that, like from the beginning, because you can decide. You made a promise, you have the graces of marriage. Just say no, and it doesn't happen. Very easy. It's just fighting your own weaknesses. Temptations always will come, but as always, with temptations, just act the other way. Pray, ask for graces, and just put more attention in your husband. And then all is well.
And also, don't be afraid that your love will be at like a maximum level on the day that you marry, and that it can only go down over time.
It only goes up.
Yeah. On the
For real.
contrary, it still grows every day. It's not like, oh, now it's finished or something. You begin to love each other in new ways, like as the mother or as the father of the shared children. You learn to love each other in all sorts of circumstances, like with sickness, with both joyful things and sad things. Your love will grow so much more, like in ways you can't even expect at first, because at first you've not experienced all of life's experiences. Don't take it from me, by the way. Take it from St. John Paul II, who wrote that if the man and woman are no longer two but one flesh, then they are called to grow continually in their communion, so that every day they may progress towards an even richer union with each other on all levels. Because we're short on time.
We're very short on time.
Unacaro is Unacaro is a doctrinal note on the value of matrimony, pretty recent. They write the following: marriage is the beauty of an exclusive love and covenant between two people who share life in its fullness, with all its struggles and its hopes. And don't forget, eventually the goal of heaven is to go to heaven.
The goal of heaven, marriage.
The goal of marriage is to go to heaven. Thank you.
I'm there for you.
Yeah. And the specific thing of marriage is also that as a husband, you're given to your wife to help her get to heaven, and the other way around as well. Yeah. Scott Hahn has a beautiful analogy about it with a chisel. He says that my spouse is God's tool, God's chisel to help me grow. And just like a sculptor uses his chisel to carve a beautiful statue, and God uses all of the challenges of life and of marriage in particular to chip away all of your selfishness, all of your bad habits. That is something that happens in marriage, and it's very beautiful.
Okay, this is like, I really want to tell you this because I found it out while we were preparing this. If my husband or wife is meant to bring me to heaven, if that is a plan of God, then somehow that should already be like present in the creation of man, and it is. If you look at Genesis, it's incredible, really. Immediately after creating Adam, God says, it is not good that man should be alone. Remember that? You just read it and then you pass on. It's not good that man is alone. Well, also in that document that we just quoted, there's another quote from Pope Benedict who says, like, if you look at this, like there's, like, it seems to be solitude for the man. It's not good that man should be alone. But it's not like God is surprised by that. Like, oh, wow, he's alone. That's not good. Let us make somebody else. He knew that already from the beginning. So he's saying this, God, to point out something to us. And there's no solitude for Adam at that moment because he has just been given all animals of creation, not just surrounding him, but he could give him names that's like your pets, no? Like all animals of creation have been named by Adam. He's surrounded, they're part of his life, by the animals, but somehow he's still alone. So God says, I'll make him a helper fit for him. Well, that word helper is like, woo, a helper for man, that's the woman. No, the word for helper here is the Hebrew ezer, and ezer is used in the Old Testament. Like in 18 of the 22 cases was said, for God himself, the helper who comes to rescue to the people of Israel. So it's like, God is my helper. He comes riding the skies to set me free from my enemies. Like an ezer, helper, is somebody who, with all his forces, is just there to save you, to help you, not just to help you with small things, but just to help you with all his might. So that is what God is saying. Man is apparently alone. I'm making a helper fit for him. And fit for him is also just a translation that also could be translated as like somebody who's like him or similar to him. But in Hebrew also, that word used for fit for him or in his image means like you having somebody in your likeness that you share like a gaze with. You have a dialogue, but your face and your eyes are in that dialogue. So what he's saying here is, I'll make you, Adam, man, a very intimate helper to rescue, come to your rescue in your life. That's not how it's sometimes said, like, oh yeah, the woman should be the helper and should be knitting the socks, for example, and cooking. That's a really nice thing to do, though. But it's not that kind of relationship. Man and woman are created for each other, to help each other in that whole path, in unity, to go to heaven, to be each other's rescuer. So, skipping a whole piece here.
Fine.
If he then finally says, this is flesh of my flesh and bones of my bones, and that goes on to when Jesus says, well, I think that's your part, no? First, I'll
Is
skip
it?
that. I think it is. I'll say it. It's like,
This?
finally, flesh of my flesh and bones of my bones. It means like, I have this intimate unity with you. We are each other's helper in marriage to make each other happy in this life, if possible, in the other life that comes after. I will be there for you. Without you, I'm incomplete. Man, already from the design of God, is incomplete if he doesn't have the woman helping him, or the other way around. So we're destined, if that's your vocation to religious life goes beyond that. That's something that's like a mystery. But for married life, just married to complete each other, because otherwise we will not find our completeness or fullness in life. So what is that helper thing? It's a self-giving. You think you can? Yeah.
Sure. And this is from the letter of St. Paul to the Ephesians, the famous sentence that sometimes people get angry at. No, it's this one. Like, be subject to one another out of reverence for Christ. And then it's not on here, but the next line goes, wives, be subject to your husbands as to the Lord. And then for some it's like, oh, see, this
Yeah, but I
typically
already
the
cleared
Bible.
that out. No, I cleared that out.
Oh,
They
okay.
know.
Saying
know.
why women are less important. Okay, you cleared that out.
Yeah, sure.
But for men then, for us guys, it doesn't end there, of course. We husbands get our own like rules, so to speak, and they go just as far or even further. It says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. Now, love your wives as Christ loved the church. That means washing the feet of your disciples. That means literally dying on the cross to save the other one. So how could a man ever think like, I'm worth more, or I'm more important, or my will be done, I'm like the only one making decisions in the household? This is completely opposite of it. And so the idea is, every man, there's no shame, there's no weakness. On the contrary, in serving your family, in serving your spouse, to help her reach heaven. Because that is, St. Paul is writing this to people who already believe, in a Christian audience. They all want to reach heaven. So, and I think this, he also writes, husbands should love their wives as their own bodies. So as you for yourself try to reach heaven, you love your wife in the same way. You want to help her reach heaven as well. So out of the question that men should be above women in any regard.
You're a unity, that's the whole
You're
point.
a unity, exactly. To return to the analogy of Scott Hahn with the chisel, he starts out saying that all of us at first, in the beginning of marriage, we are like the rough stone with the rough edges still. Those are our weaknesses and our flaws. And then it's the friction of daily life, of putting somebody else first, that helps you finally becoming, that's the chisel, constantly putting somebody else first. And that is what eventually makes you the masterpiece, like the end result, the finished statue. And it's not like in a good marriage. It'll never be that one always puts the other first. Like, that's not healthy. That's not a good marriage. It'll always be 50-50, something like that at least.
Good balance, that's it. Just
yeah, of course. And like turning back to the year that we spent abroad, like I spent a year in California in one of the missions of the priests and the sisters there in Santa Clara. And like just one example that really stood out for me, there was a family there. They had two daughters around 10 and 12 years old, I think. Very kind, very generous. And after a couple of months, they invited me over to their place. So I drove along with them. And then we entered like a beautiful, like American neighborhood, like big houses, big gardens, like the typical white picket fence that you always see in the movies. And so they stop in front of a house, and there's a large trailer caravan in front of the garage as well. And so he parks the car there, and his wife gets out of the car, and his two daughters get out, and I'm about to get out as well. And he says, no, wait. And as they're all leaving the car, he just starts driving again. And he says, no, I want to show you our house. And I'm like confused. Wasn't this the house? And he drives for like 1 more minute and then stops like around the corner in front of another house, just as big, just as beautiful. And he says, look, this was our house. Like I built half of it myself.
Was
And
an engineer.
Yeah, and we lived here until, I'm not sure, we lived here until 2-3 years ago. But then I lost my job. I couldn't pay back the bank and they foreclosed on the house. And so now we're living in that trailer that was standing parked in the driveway of a friend. And it was so amazing because they were so kind, generous. And that man in particular, like now he worked like double just to provide for his family, to pay back the bills and everything. And he didn't have a fancy car and he didn't have time or money to go to like a gym and to get really buff and swollen. And they didn't have fancy jewelry or anything. But to me, that was before we were married. To me, that was like, okay, you're my hero. Like you're my ideal. I want to be a man like you. And he was not like a dominant, bossy guy. On the contrary, he was very soft spoken. But that to me was like, okay, you're a man. Like serving your family, serving like this, still under all this stress. And because he dropped off his children first, because he said it's still too hard for them to drive past that house. So he dropped them off first. So with all that stress, with all those troubles, to still be so good, I mean, that is serving. That is serving. Yeah.
Well, to finish, because we're already in the break. Yeah.
Never mind, we still got like 20 more minutes.
What, 20 more minutes?
Yeah,
really?
The second one starts.
Really? But I think you're right. No.
I thought we had to start the second one at 5.
But it's so kind of you to say that because that really gives me a better feeling. So thank you. No, but we'll finish. There should be time for questions too. So no, but that is the thing. Self-sacrifice can seem such a hard word, and so like, ooh, what is this? Dying to oneself, like a little frightening. And what should I do? But it's exactly that. It's just putting the other first instead of yourself. And you can do that in so many things, especially in marriage. Stupid examples, but just always just do that for yourself. Make a decision. I always give the last piece of chocolate to my husband, for example.
Very important.
Very important. I know. That's why I say it. No, it's super small. There's like a million things like that, but it helps you. It just helps you to, it's not about the chocolate, to just make yourself, sometimes the English just too hard. Make yourself own, you don't say that. To interiorize a certain disposition and a certain just way of being and way of doing that is serving. It's not serving in like a strange way or something. It's just that you put the other first. And if the other one does that too, and that is like, if there's union in marriage, it's like that. It's really heaven on earth already. There's so many difficulties, and we have had also things like sicknesses, hospitals, everything, other things. But still, I can say in all honesty, it's so beautiful. You're just one. There's a unity that I could never have thought of before. Like you can just be completely yourself as you have never been before. There's just that, the union. And that union is a very beautiful quote from the wife of that von Hillebrand, Dietrich von Hillebrand. She was also a philosopher. She says, we so often forgive that the great sap of great friendships and great love is self-sacrifice. And that is the holy vitamin of love, also in marriage. Self-sacrifice is just bearing all the fruits that you can imagine. And if you have that union, that unity, like the fullness of human nature is in that union of man and woman. And you can reach that. It's heaven on earth already with all the things that are difficult in marriage. It is possible, really. Well, I'll just stand here. No?
Perfect.